Hey, what's going on everyone? How you guys doing today? Welcome back to another Steam 2 video. And in today's video, we're going to be taking a look at a build for the Hunter that's going to be using some of those new buffs that Stasis got to basically be able to spam abilities just over and over again, while at the same time having a lot of survivability. I really kind of liked this build and thought it was pretty good, but with the recent buffs to Stasis, it got even better. So hopefully you guys enjoyed today's video, and if you guys do, remember to leave a like and subscribe to the channel in case you guys aren't already for some more Destiny content. And first of all, let's actually talk about that change that's making this build and just a lot of other Stasis builds just much better. And it actually was a bit of a small change, but it has a huge effect, and that was the buff to Grim Harvest. So whenever you defeat any slow or frozen combatants, you create stasis shards. And Grim Harvest was already pretty good, but it did have a cooldown in between you actually being able to use this aspect and create some of those stasis shards. But with a recent update, they just completely removed that, so if you're killing stasis or frozen targets, you're always going to be getting stasis shards. Which is perfect because this build is all about using stasis shards to just help us spam our abilities use even more. So now as long as you hit a bunch of these targets, and as long as they are slowed or frozen, they're always going to be making shards, meaning that you really could make a ton of these shards. And it's overall just going to increase the amount of shards you have, and because of a lot of things on like the Stasis class are tied to the amount of shards you could make and pick up, a lot of things actually got buffed to this. But now let's actually talk about the things that are running on this build and what's gonna allow this build to actually succeed. So the very first one is of course the Mask of Felty. It's usually my go-to when it comes to like stasis builds. It's so good. It allows your Withering Blades to be able to create stasis crystals. It refunds on melee energy whenever you hit things with your melee. And then we have the final thing, that if you use your Withering Blade against stasis crystals or frozen enemies, you immediately shatter them, as well as release a spread of other Withering Blades, just dealing some more damage and possibly breaking even more crystals if any more of them are around. The Mask of Felty is just so perfect, especially with the amount of crystals we're going to be making. We're just constantly going to be able to use this to shatter those crystals, create more crystals, which gives us more ability energy, and also with the buff to Grim Harvest, allowing us to make a bunch of stasis shards. We're also going to get a bunch of melee energy, meaning that we're constantly going to be using our melee and a grenade just over and over again to do tons of ad clear, keep everything just slowed and frozen, making it really hard for enemies to be able to hurt us, and when they do, we're also going to have a bunch of damage resistance on top of it. Now for the weapon you want to pair this up with, I still really like the Wicked Implement. I feel like the buffs that it got this episode or season or whatever we are calling it nowadays, I feel like they're pretty good. Changing it to a 260 was definitely the move, and with some of the things that we have in the artifact that benefit scouts, constantly giving this thing just more damage, allowing us to use freeze targets very easily with this weapon and just put slow on targets, again just making it so we get even more stasis shards. It is just a really good weapon that works really well with this, and also being able to stun some champions just intrinsically is also very nice. So I think the Wicked Implement works pretty well, but it's not the only weapon that can work. If you also have another stasis weapon you really like and think works pretty well, you can definitely change out the Wicked Implement. The Wicked Implement is not like a big part of the build, it's mostly going to be the abilities, but it does add a bit more synergy to it. Now for the subclass here, we're just going to be sticking to regular Stasis Hunter. For your class ability, you definitely want to be on Gambler's Dodge, so we can keep getting melee back whenever you use our class ability. For your grenade, you want to go with the Glacier Grenade. You're going to be able to break this with your melees, you're going to be able to break it with your Shadow Dive. Overall, it just gives you a lot of ad clear, and it works pretty well into the build. For the aspects, of course, we're going to have Grim Harvest. It is like the whole point that we're running this. Whenever we defeat frozen and slow targets, we create stasis shards, and whenever we pick up those stasis shards, we also gain a stack of frost armor, which is going to be the main way that we're going to be getting some damage resistance for this build. And because we're constantly picking them up, we always have maxed out frost armor, always giving us a bit of damage resistance. So you're actually a lot tankier than you would expect with a build like this. Now for the second aspect, I actually love running Shadow Dive with this. This gives us another way of shattering a bunch of crystals that we can just constantly use whenever we want. Shadow Dive just feel like it's very fun, and I feel that it works very well with this build, since we have so many ways of actually creating stasis crystals. Our Glacier Grenade, a Scout Rifle, just throwing the Withering Blades, We have tons and tons of ways of creating crystals, and so just having an extra way of blowing up those crystals with the Shadow Dive is really nice and ties into the fragments pretty well as well. Now, moving on to the fragments, the first one's gonna be the Whisper of Conduction. This makes it so any nearby stasis shards actually track to our position, as well as give us some health and super. This is perfect. I do not like playing like builds like this without the Whisper of Conduction. This is a huge quality of life change, just not having to worry about having to actually go out and pick up the shards, because they all just kind of track to you. And it also really helps keeping up that frost armor, because you're constantly just refreshing as more of these head towards you and just refresh your timer, as well as give you a ton of melee energy. After that, we're going to have the Whisper of Fissures. This increases the damage and the size of our stasis crystal explosions, and also whenever we defeat some frozen targets. Since we're going to constantly be just blowing up crystals and blowing up frozen targets, this just really makes sense. It just gives us more damage and just even more ad clear. After that, we have the Whisper of Shards, and this is what's going to allow us to get our grenade back faster. Whenever we shatter some stasis crystals, it increases our grenade recharge rate. And again, because we're going to have crystals all over the place, constantly shattering them, this is just something that we're always going to have, allowing us to use our grenade just a lot more often. And the grenade boost you actually get from this is really good. Even if we don't have a lot of grenade stat, like I had 40 here, I was still able to throw a bunch of grenades thanks to this fragment right here. After that, we're going to have the Whisper of Hunger. This is going to increase the melee energy you gain from picking up stasis shards. And the last one is going to be the Whisper of Refraction. Whenever we defeat slowed or frozen targets, we gain some class ability energy. Since this is something that we're just constantly doing, it's just free class ability energy, so again we can spam our class ability just a lot more often. The whole goal of this is just so we can spam our 3 abilities, class, melee, grenade, just as much as we can. Now for your artifact, there is a couple of them that are going to work pretty well. The first one right here is Frigid Glare. Whenever we have Frost Armor, which is going to be all the time, Stasis Precision Final Blows will cause combatants to release a freezing burst. So just another way of essentially being able to just freeze enemies, used for having Frost Armor. Another good one is going to be Shield Crush, because we're going to have Frost Armor just so often, it's going to give us even more melee regen as well as increased damage. So while we have the Frost Armor on, we're always going to be doing some more damage with our melees. Elemental Daze can also be a really good one. Whenever you stun a champion, it's going to do a slowing burst around it. Again, just working into the build to get more stasis shards so we can keep just throwing out more melees. So Elemental Daze is also a really good one. So is Frost Renew. If we take critical damage whenever we have Frost Armor, it essentially does like a freezing burst around us. This burst is going to freeze everything around us, so if something is pushing us, they will immediately get frozen when their shields are broken. And also it refreshes our Frost Armor, and it even gives Frost Armor to allies. So I think Frost Renewal works really well, and in any bad situations where a lot of enemies are on you, it can actually save your life. Now, do you also want to have Semi-Auto Striker? This is essentially free armor charge if you are using the Scout Rifle. If you have fewer than 2 stacks of armor charge, any rapid precision shots with a bow, sniper, or Scout Rifle will generate armor charge. And this is something you can get very easily. So you basically always have armor charge as long as you're using one of these weapons. And the last one I'm gonna recommend is gonna be Fear and Chill. This gives you even more frost armor, even from a distance with your Scout Rifle, used by hitting precision hits. Most of the time as you're spamming your abilities, you just get to max frost armor even without really trying. But if you're staying a little bit farther back, then Fear and Chill could be something that works really well, and it will give you that free frost armor. Now for the stats that you want to focus on this build, of course, melee is the most important one. You want to throw as many points into melee as you can, not only for the increase or the decrease cooldown I should say, but also just because it gives your melee just more damage, meaning that you're going to get just most out of it in PvE. After that, you're basically with the usual things like super and weapons, and that's pretty much the main ones you want to focus on. Now for the mods you want to run this build, I actually kept it pretty simple. For the helmet, we're going to run Special Finder, Heavy Ammo Finder, as well as Harmonic Siphon. The Siphon is so we can make some orbs, and then the Finders are used to keep our special and heavy topped off. For the gauntlets, you want Focusing Strike as well as Impact Induction, so every time you hit something with your power melee, you're getting back class ability energy as well as grenade ability energy. And then this last one can actually change quite a bit. I had Grenade Kickstart just so I could spam with grenades, But if you want more melees, you could also go with melee kickstart, or if you want more orbs, you could also go with heavy-handed instead and make a bunch of orbs with your power melees. This one is really gonna be up to you. You want to test out a couple of them, but I feel like all of these kind of work pretty well. Just use whichever you end up liking the most on this final spot. For your chest piece, it's pretty normal. It's just resistances, nothing really special there. For the boots, I did have a stasis weapon surge because it just gave the scout rifle a little more power, so I really liked it. I also had better already, so we can start health regen whenever picking those morphs, giving us even more variability. Because while we do have actual damage resistance, we don't have like too many healing factors or built-in healing besides our health stat, as well as better already. So I needed one of these. You go with better already. You could also go with recuperation. Both of them work. And for your final one, you definitely want to go absolution, so it reduces all your ability cooldowns whenever you pick up some more power. And lastly, for the class item, we had Reaper, powerful attraction, as well as distribution. Distribution is going to reduce all our ability cooldowns whenever we use our class ability next to some enemies, and this includes our super. Powerful attraction allows us to pick up any orbs of power around the area whenever we use our class ability, and then Reaper just allows us to make more orbs of power after using our class ability. So our class ability is pretty important, so we're going to be trying to spam it as much as we can, and thanks to our fragment, we should be able to. And with that, that's pretty much the end of the build. The gameplay loop for the build is pretty simple. You basically always just want to be spamming your abilities. You can start off with your grenade if you want, maybe with a shadow dive, or you can throw your grenade and blow it up with one of your shurikens. As long as you just keep either slowing or freezing targets before you kill them, you should get a bunch of stasis shards back, meaning that you can turn all of those into use energy for your abilities, so you can just keep getting your abilities back faster and just spamming your abilities. As long as you're killing crystals, you should also be getting your grenade back, which leads to you be getting more stasis shards back, and then, you know, it's just a big cycle being able to spam abilities over and over again, while at the same time having a bunch of frost armor, meaning that you're harder to kill. And if you're ever completely out of your melee charges, remember your class ability will also give you your melee back if you use it. So make sure that you take advantage of that as well, and just go out there and start destroying enemies. If things are a little too far away, you also have your scout rifle that again makes more crystals, slows targets, so it's also going to make shards. Everything just kind of works really well to allow you to spam your withering blades just as much as you want. Also, don't forget to use your super. At times I kind of just completely forgot about my super and was just completely relying on my abilities, because to be completely honest, I didn't really need the super, but you know, might as well use it, throw it out there. It gives you a lot of shards, it constantly freezes enemies, and it's really good for dealing with champions. So hopefully you guys have enjoyed today's video. If you guys did, make sure you guys leave a like, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care everyone, have a good day. Oh, the link will always be in the description like always. And if you guys enjoyed the video or build, make sure you guys tell me in the comments below. Anyways, thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.